Hello.
Hey, quarantine.
Hey, oh, sorry, I'm not muted.
Yeah, that's why. That's what I wanted.
Did I start singing?
Yeah,
You can
I
always
love that.
just start singing now. I see what you did there.
Gotcha.
Did any of you guys listen to the Kubernetes podcast with the interview for MCO from KubeCon London? I think it was out a couple of days ago. It was pretty interesting. It's nothing new, but it's good to hear it being spoken about in a broader public.
No, I haven't. Please share the link. I'll be interested in taking a look.
Was it Nick talking?
I think it was Nick and John.
Bill Americ was the John?
I'll just quickly look up the names. I don't know for sure.
So it should be Nick Hibbert and John Bill Americ. Maybe Bill Americ was talking about DRA.
I'm surprised. Quarantine was surprised.
It was John Lee. It was Nick Eberts and John Lee. It's just the Kubernetes podcast from Google. I'll just paste the link in here. And then I'll mute myself again because otherwise you get Winnie the Pooh television sounds.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Which is what happens when you have kids.
Mine's a very big Bluey fan.
Oh, this one also wants Bluey every day, except for today. Today's Winnie the Pooh time.
Hey, some change. You're lucky.
I've also had Baby Shark for months on end, so you know.
Oh god, don't tell me about that. Bus on the Wheels too, killing me.
Baby Shark. What's the other one? There are so many. It's just it never ends.
Old MacDonald, classic.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm trying to make him listen to my music, and we're like, all right, we dance now. We don't. That's it.
I'm trying to get mine to switch to CNCF stuff, but yeah,
Hey,
it's not working. It's still just
to put
the
them to
usual.
sleep, to put her to sleep, maybe.
Yeah. I just think maybe every Kubernetes podcast that has been published so far.
Nick, is he here? I want to tease him. No, he's not here. Too bad. Nick's got a soothing voice. I was going to say, I want to tease him.
Yeah. There are some. There were some other people. I think from LinkedIn. They do some crazy networking stuff with very large Kubernetes clusters. So they should probably also be very interested in MCO and SIG multicluster. But
There's a
they
lot of
also
people
has
doing very big clusters these days.
yeah. And one of them had a very soothing radio voice. So I figured maybe that's what I'm going to try next time she wakes up in the middle of the night.
That's really cool. Ooh. Put some stuff. All right, give me 1 second. I'm going to edit the meeting notes.
It looks like people are still coming in. I mean, I'm just here, just mostly watching the meetings since last KubeCon, but I must say I'm very happy with just how these SIG meetings work, how the progress works, the note taking. It's all very easy to follow as someone looking in from the outside, essentially, which is always a good thing.
We did get all the recording uploaded, right?
Yeah, I think the backlog of uploads has pretty much been done.
I don't know who's our host today.
Quarantine, do you want to ping Laura or
Yeah, let me ping
Jeremy?
I know. So Jeremy is not in the US this week.
I can try pinging Steph.
Thank you. Yeah. Let's say if we reach 40, let's go on our own. It's okay. We'll make it happen.
Sounds good.
So Steven's he's in other meetings today. So I don't think he'll make it.
Jeremy's out. Let's give it a minute. See if Laura is a candidate. I messaged her.
Yeah, if Laura's not here either, I don't know if we have anybody who's able to record.
Don't we need the host to start the meeting also?
No, it's auto record. So wait, I'm not worried about recording. More like how it ends.
Okay.
Yeah,
But we
it's
can
hopefully
share our
automated, it just
screen.
doesn't end. Yeah.
We need someone to enable the share screen, like even if.
Oh.
No, share screen is still enabled right until someone claims the host.
But can someone take over the host? No, right?
I do not have a host key.
I don't see any host. Oh, wait. Let me message Jeremy. I'm asking Jeremy if he can give me host because he replied. He's not available, but he replied. If someone can ask Stefan and get host, maybe that we can run this way.
Yeah, I can ping him. Oh, unless the node right hat can ping quicker.
Hey, he's not on Slack right now. I mean, he's off. So I think
Okay, Jeremy is
He's
going to give
available.
me host, I think. So until we get there, okay, please add your, I'll put the scrub section up there, but if you have topics, please add them in the notes. I just took the previous scrub from last time so we can see what's up. Oh, someone, I see. Can we see multi-clusters? Oh, I'm host now. Jeremy, if you're here, thank you. You can go. All right, let me Chrome tab. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Well, it's June 10th, and welcome to this a little late SIG multi-cluster, everyone. Thanks for waiting. Does everyone want to go for the scrub, or should we go for the scrub? Anyone to talk maybe about the first one? I took the same one, so I don't know if they're still relevant. So dual stack policies and fields. It sounds like MCS.
Yes. I am currently working on a reply. Laura tagged me last week. I had been late getting to it, but I'm recapping kind of the conversation that we had in the May 27th meeting where Arthur gave a like extremely helpful presentation of the actual like concrete use case here and some of my thoughts. My like TLDR that I'll put into a GitHub comment for posterity and async discussion is that I now understand the use case. I do not think that an API change is strictly necessary for this, but there are some changes to the language of the CAP, which are going to be very helpful in terms of explicitly stating what the expected behavior is in each of these situations. And I think that Stephen Kitt had a relevant similar implementation in Submariner and had some prior art on how they've handled this kind of situation.
It's not really. I don't think. Well, Tom is here, so he can comment, but I don't think they have exactly the same thing because we request like on a per cluster service. I think it's not like that exactly in Submariner.
Yeah, what's sorry, I've been out the last few weeks, so I'm not sure what the current discussions were.
Yeah.
on those
So this PR is well, I'm proposing adding like an IP family field into the service import.
Oh, right, I saw
And-
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Mike was saying about Submariner that well, you have done something like that where it was not useful to you and you have done something, but I don't think you have the same problem as us. Like you have like some kind of global service.
Right.
Yeah.
So we would not, we wouldn't have a use for this field the way we've implemented dual stack.
But I think it's useful for any, well, not maybe any, but most implementation using the AI service, I would expect.
Yeah, possible. Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying that Submariner wouldn't use this, so another implementation would, and certainly we derive the information about dual stackness, if you will, from the service itself. So we wouldn't populate. We have no need to populate an IP families field on the service import. But
Yeah, well, yeah, mainly because you don't have this DI service thing.
yeah, so yeah. So either way, it wouldn't affect as long as it's optional, and which I think you did make it optional, and I think your PR. So.
Yep.
Yeah, my thought is that I don't think that this is necessary because the derived service could infer this based on endpoint slices of IPs that are attached to it, and creating those endpoints in the consuming cluster, I think should be able to happen like either you do or don't create it if your cluster supports that IP family. So I don't think the service level creation is needed.
No, but you cannot from the endpoint slice because the service import is created before. You have a chicken and egg thing here. Well, we can discuss a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to request. If you can maybe take it offline, come up with a discussion either in Slack or do an async meeting. Let us know in the next meeting what your conclusion is. It sounds like the TLDR needs more discussion on that cap. Cool. All right. Moving on.
We'll at least understand.
And Pentalist, I don't know who you work for, so I put us here. I'm sorry.
Red Hat.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Oh, Tom is my first name. Just call me Tom. I should sign in with Tom. My first name. Sorry.
TY?
What's that?
You said Ty? T-A-I?
No, Tom. T-O-M. Sorry.
Oh, Tom, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, cluster profile property. I think I saw Ryan in there. And I think the deadline is, or the well-known property letter, maybe start with this one.
This
Yeah.
is aiming for Stefan or Jeremy to review. I don't think I get anything. I heard anything from anyone. And Laura sent out that email. I'm not sure if she gets many replies. I also don't seem to see a lot of replies. So hopefully our chairs will show up next week.
Awesome. Same thing for property, I'm guessing.
Yeah, this is kind of a blocker for the property one. It's the procedure block.
Property ladder. Placement decision API.
Still waiting for the chairs to review, so not much update there.
Credentials, external providers. Well, I'll take that one since I've been working on it. I wanted to thank everyone for the reviews. I do have names on my other. If I find my slide, I'm sorry. So I don't mispronounce your names too much, but it was, I think, Chen and Kian. Sorry, I would have messed it up.
You mean Chojian? Chojian.
Yes, what you said. Sorry, thank you. I cannot pronounce that. I'm really sorry. So yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot for the reviews. We've had a bit of back and forth on should we do only exec or should we do multiple formats, as in like do something in code and in addition to the exec. So that was one of the questions. Bobby was also suggesting maybe doing more of a centralized component instead of execing, because execing can be dangerous. All of those are right, though I think we should start with exec. So I've pushed back a little bit, and I'm saying we should start with exec and support only that for now, because it enables the separation between cluster managers and the actual controllers consuming it. That's currently the approach, and trying to force only this exec. Also, in the CAP, we reuse a lot of the exec from kubeconfig, but we don't use kubeconfig. So it's not like we're writing a kubeconfig exec exactly similar structure. The only structure we're using is some internal structure that inside of the offlow that the exec library in kubeconfig uses, but we don't use the same config. So there's no kubeconfig involved in there. It's just like we're using code from kubeconfig and you're using the protocol from kubeconfig. So thanks a lot everyone for the review. Please have another rounds. I think I'll pile up on everyone saying, hey, we need the chairs. I think this is my next step as well. But if you have more questions, I'm looking to get an approval during this week. So I'll just put that. And chairs committee review approval. And I know we got the what you call it, the QGen also did a POC, so there's that POC that is shared on Slack. I need to look at the last iteration, but thank you very much for writing it. And sorry for butchering your name again. So yeah, and there was that comment. Oh, the one thing I want to do last is like there was that comment last time on this here. And I think, I saw Ryan, you just answered. I want to do the exec more than the pure lib, and I'd like to discuss that more with you offline if you want. If we don't do it here, if we don't have the time.
Yeah, let's discuss offline.
But
need to understand.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just need to understand that a little bit more on the advantage of exec, or what's the difference between exec and the lib. Not really plugin. It's all through plugin.
Yeah,
Just
it's
the wording.
different ways to do a plugin, right? The
Yeah.
way one of the requirements for me is that it's not a compile time thing, because if it's a compile time, that means, for example, if you're Argo CD, just to take an example of a community controller, if you do a compile time, that means everyone will have to recompile their own image. I think a very important thing is being able to reuse the image, and then I think you can then argue that putting the plugins in the image is also a problem, but there are other ways to put a binary. You can either take the original image and build another image on top, which is very easy because you just have to import it. Or you could do it at runtime. You could mount volumes and copy the image via init containers or volumes or things like that. So that's why I think exec is very interesting, is because that way you can have a community controller that doesn't thing. Though there will likely be an evolution if we see that everyone's using the same 3 all the time, then I think at some point very likely we'll just build them in, right? That way you don't need to mount, you will not need to mount them. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up also with a plugin thing, but I think for support, I kind of want to start with an exec and that idea that you can write a controller and it would work with any kind of plugin, and no one is expected to recompile. So this is the first, I think, approach I want to have, and that way we'll support more. I think we'll get better at pushing plugins into to be alongside the controller somehow.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, just need to think through this. So let me repeat if I understand. So the idea is, main reason you want to do exec is so that we don't have to, especially when we integrate with third parties, it's a lot easier. So you don't have to go into their code and change code and compile, right? I need to see if that's actually, it is totally doable. And then next thing, I think eventually, for example, like multi-cluster runtime, that's a library that we do want to compile, right? That's something that is in our SIG. I would foresee that in the end, the runtime, multi-cluster runtime probably will natively support this. That's kind of the.
So I think multi-cluster runtime should use the shim library that will be able to use the exec plugins. But that way, what you can do is use multi-cluster runtime to create a controller, and then you can put this controller out in the wild. If you've got a really good controller with a really good idea that does God knows what multi-cluster, then you could write this thing and pass it and put it in out there and say, okay, here are my images. You can download it. You can play with it. You don't have to recompile it. So you can effectively make community controllers. If we start baking it in, that's the problem with the current multi-cluster runtime. I think it's like everyone's got to create their own provider and got to import the provider. And that means when you're compiling, you need to know ahead what are going to be the cluster profile you're going to need. And that only works if you're developing the controller in-house, right? So I'm trying to allow sharing of controllers.
Yeah, we can take it offline, but my high level, I thought the cluster profile controller provider will be a de facto provider for multi-cluster runtime. So it's different from the other type of providers. Those providers
right. But then if you do the same for credentials, it's like I don't want to require Golang credentials. I think that's where the exec is interesting.
Okay.
So it'll be cluster profile plus an exec credentials aspect.
I see what you mean. I just need to look deeper into the exact the code. I think John had that.
John has a hand. I just saw that. Thank you, John.
Yeah, I just mainly the question. I see some more decoupling that happens in Argo CD, where you have your cluster secrets, and essentially, as long as you pre-fill the secret in any way you see fit, it should work. And that means that Argo is essentially not execing anything. Now, that's of course not going to work for everything, but it's even less coupled than a plugin or an exec would be. But I didn't read through the entire chat, so I don't know if that is something that was already discussed about.
So actually, Argo, as far as I know, the default thing they do is the exec. At least that's what we've been recommending for Google. You put that little config that execs a tiny binary that's already in the Argo image that does the credentials exchange for workload identity. So actually, the exec is heavily inspired from the Argo process. We leverage the protocol from kubeconfig, but the approach is very much similar to what Argo does. So you could find a lot of similarities there. And maybe I could put that in the cap as another example, as a reference.
Yeah, I was just looking at it now, looking at our own config, and yeah, it does look like the secret. Well, we're mainly on EKS and GKE, but the secrets are injected. But of course, the actual getting a token is still going to need an exec.
Right.
So yeah,
the secret in that case is the replacement of the cluster profile. So the secret maps to the cluster profile, and then whatever the secret does, which is exec, would be our exec as well. And Argo, they've done that tiny binary that combines AWS, Google, and Azure, I think, in the same thing. So it's very easy there. That way it's pre-built and all that, but you can expand to whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with a similar-ish type of thing.
Yeah. Just as I was saying it, I just mentally walked across the pattern, and yeah, it does look very similar to what you're discussing right now. Right?
Yeah, cool. Have a look at the cap, please. Yeah, have a look. I think
I will. Yeah,
be good feedback especially if you're using Argo. Well, thank you guys. I'm looking forward to more comments, and I'll try to pull in the chairs in there, or the committee. All right, moving on. Sorry, I'm going to scroll back up. So, cluster profile. There was MCS API changes. Does implementers use service import spec as desired state?
Yeah, so it needs Google feedback and possibly Karmada and Alibaba if they drop by. I think there was someone from Karmada at the APAC meeting that was saying he could take a look. But yeah, at least Google.
Did you get did Laura take that action item last time, or?
She said she will, but didn't hear back.
You haven't heard back yet? Okay, let's let me tag her. Let's see what she says. Cool. Anything else for the scrub? Is there any new PR we missed, or one you don't want to talk about it anymore? Just finishing with this. All right, cool. All right, sweet. Let's move on to the topics. Well, damn, I'm the only one in there. Well, the first one, I don't think we're going to go very far because Jeremy and Steven are not there. I was kind of curious, like, what's up with the committee? We've been talking about it for a few meetings. I think they had all the applications. I'm curious because I selfishly need it for the credentials. I kind of want to be able to move forward. And if we could keep on working on the POC, that'd be awesome. If we could put it out there and start standardizing, maybe merge it. I think that's the main thing we have for cluster profile, really we want to do right now. So I think we'll wait for the next meeting on that. And my second topic was on the PR, so on the cap for cluster credentials. I think it's ready or almost ready to go in. So if you're interested in that topic, please have a look. I added a nice image also of a sequence diagram 2 days ago, or yesterday. Have a look. Other than that, I don't know if there was any other topic, burning topic that everyone wanted to talk about. Otherwise, it was a short 20-minute meeting.
Highly effective and efficient meeting.
I talk way too fast. I hope everyone could follow. I'm sorry. In bad English, whatever.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you very much for running it.
Yeah, no worries. Well, thanks everyone for joining SIG Multicluster then. We'll see you next time. And see you on Slack and in the PRs.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you.